for hundreds of years, music was always a social thing, and I'd like art to kind of also exist in that same realm. I'm Maddy Young. Just finished third year in sculpture installation. Like found object sculptures, I'm kind of interested in the way we can tell narratives through just sort of found ephemera and combining different things. Like I use found bike parts, I use garbage. I have some parts of an old barn that I'm using right now. Yeah, I like to sort of figure out what kind of stories these objects tell and then combine them together. There's so much like it's already embedded into any object that exists around you. Like it has this whole life that existed, like from the materials that it's extracted from to how it's created to the life that it's lived, and you can use that to sort of begin the next part of like what story you want to tell with it. I actually went to U of T and I was like, I'm going to study English and semiotics, which then I didn't like and then I dropped out of. Semiotics is a study of like signs and symbols. It is kind of related to my artwork because like, what does a can symbolize? Like a beer can symbolize? It has like these universal meanings of this is a container for this specific beverage, parties, a football game, a specific kind of person who might drink this. Like this one object is a very loaded symbol. It's not just an object. Like there's always all this meaning that we create around it, and it's culturally specific. It's specific to each person. It's the study of like meaning, basically. And we are constantly, as we walk through the world, we are reading signs all around us. Every space we enter is full of signs. A space itself can be a sign, like the White Art Gallery is a sign. And you know what you're going to expect when you walk in there when you read that space. So that's what semiotics is, just the study of all of this and like how we create them, how we can deconstruct them, how we can reread them and like reinterpret. It's cool. It's a cool thing. I think about the city. The city is very deep into all of my work. So I start off just thinking like, what am I interested about the city today? What stories are on the street and how do I relate to those, and what kind of like of objects and ephemera can I use to tell that story. Things changed a lot in the process. The work that I showed you earlier, this mobile that has these like beer cans with all these keychains and stuff hanging off of them, that started with this image I had of just someone's keys lost on the ground. And I thought that image was interesting, so I started doing some sketches around like how could I create art that's sort of about this image of the lost keys on the ground. And then I had like the keys like nailed to the wall of the gallery as an image, and then I was like building up on the keychain, and then that became attached to a can, and then that became a mobile. And it started from this one image, and within the process of creating that work became an entirely different thing. There really is like no place like art school. It's really a unique place that doesn't exist. Like that kind of environment is nowhere else in society, I found. This is like very goofy, but when I was a teenager, like I guess younger, I think I was probably like 10 or 11, my dad's friend had a daughter who was going to OCAD, and I thought she was like the coolest person who ever existed. She played bass guitar and had like this little like short black haircut. Like I thought she was so cool, and that kind of planted the seed in my brain. I was like, I want to go to OCAD because really cool people go to OCAD. Thinking of things in ways that I couldn't even think of, things that I could never fathom. They're drawing from their own life experience of things they've read and the art that they've seen. And there's just this like an incredible assortment of minds that you can just pick and you can ask questions to. This is why I love critique, because a critique, like how often do you get to see a whole bunch of really talented artists just like talk about their work and their process and like see what they've been making. 2019, I started going to bike pirates. I had just gotten my first bike that I hadn't really had a bike since I was a teenager, and I got a bike in like 2019 and started going to bike pirates all the time because I had bought that bike there and I like the people there, so I just show up all the time and like learn things from them. And then when the pandemic happened, there was nothing to do, so I went there like every single day. And for probably 4 or 5 months, I was at Bike Pirates every single day, and I learned so much very quickly because that was what I was pouring all my attention into, was just like learning how to fix bikes. And then from there, I got a job in a shop, and then I've been working at bike shops ever since. I want bike repair to be accessible to people, so people are riding safely and can access information about how to ride safe, feel empowered to fix their bikes themselves, and also have access to, like, if you want a new secondhand bike that's like not in terrible condition, or like it's been checked over by a mechanic so you know it's not going to fall apart, it's a good resource for that. I didn't really know I was mechanically inclined until I tried it, and then it turns out actually I am fairly mechanically inclined. But before then, I just never really did anything that mechanical. It wasn't until I actually tried it that I realized that I was like good at it, and also I really enjoyed it. Also, just for women aren't really encouraged to do that kind of thing. Like no one was really getting me to like learn how cars or bikes or anything worked when I was a kid, so I just never really explored those things so much. I don't feel like I've ever been treated differently by any of my coworkers. I will say, actually, usually in bike shops more than the bike co-ops, there will be customers that come in who don't realize that I'm the mechanic. Sometimes they'll think I'm like the secretary, and they're like, can you tell the mechanic to do this? And I'm like, buddy, I am the mechanic. You can just tell me. I'm more of an old bikes person. I love the aesthetics of old bikes. I like that the parts are usually much simpler and they last longer. I think vintage bikes have stories that a brand new bike, like, I guess it's new to you, it's very exciting, but my dad likes old guitars and he says they have mojo, and I feel like old bikes kind of have mojo too. All my frames are steel. I am a big advocate of steel. It's just comfy to ride. It's like almost indestructible. My feeling is they build bridges out of steel and they make pop cans out of aluminum, so like I know what I would like for a bike. Yeah, this is why I don't ride fixed gear anymore, is that I broke my arm riding fixed gear. It was rainy outside and I was going really fast and I was like, I'm gonna do a big skid, which is where you lock up the back wheel and you like skid forward for a while, and it's kind of fun. And it's very impressive to be part of a certain demographic of people who think that's very impressive. So I was like, I want to do a giant skid. And somehow during that skid, my rear wheel ended up in front of my front wheel, and I fell and I broke my arm. I didn't think my arm was broken for like a full day. It just swelled up really big, and my roommate was like, you should go to a doctor that looks like it's broken. And I was like, I don't think my arm's broken. I think it's just swollen and I can't bend it. And she says, those are the symptoms of an arm being broken. And I'm like, I'm gonna get an x-ray just to prove that you're wrong. And then I got an x-ray and it was broken. And I had to tell every single doctor I went to, which was a lot of doctors, they're like, how'd you break your arm? And I was like, I was doing a big skid on my fixie. Which was very embarrassing. I feel like I'm a very safe rider in general. I am very aware of keeping an eye on cars on this side, also cars on this side usually because their doors are always opening. Looking at who's behind me. I'm very aware also of the grates on the ground, the streetcar grates, because I have fallen off my bike by getting stuck in those before. Generally obeying the rules of the road is a good idea. I don't feel like I don't always, but it's a really good idea to do that. It depends on the bike lane. If it's like a wide bike lane, like a proper bike lane, I love riding in a bike lane. I think Toronto doesn't always have proper bike lanes, and that's a problem. Like sometimes we have a bike lane and it's this wide, so you can't safely pass someone. When I was in Amsterdam and Berlin, they have proper bike lanes, and I loved riding in their bike lanes. In Toronto, it really depends where you are. This is my winter bike. I got this for free from a friend, and then I changed the handlebars, put a different wheel in the front, a different saddle, and different chainring. So this is like a gravel touring bike that they discontinued because apparently I am the only person in the demographic for this bike. I think it's really cool. It's probably weighs like 30 pounds, and it's really fun to go ride in the dawn. This one I built myself from mostly stuff that was donated to like Bike Pirates and Bike Chain. And then the nice thing about volunteering at co-ops, you get like the first pick of stuff that's donated, so you can get like the good stuff. Obviously, I paid money. I didn't just take stuff, but you do get to wait around, and then like when the nice stuff gets donated, you're like a vulture and you can grab it. So I actually got some decent stuff for like all these drivetrain components are actually quite nice, and this frame is quite nice. This ended up just being a really fun bike to build and a fun bike to ride. I commute a lot on it, but also just I ride for fun. And it's surprisingly light.
Today's episode of Bikes of OCADU is brought to you by the letter L. L for locks. Locks are a very important part of bicycle commuting as they allow us to get off of our bikes and leave them safely when we arrive at our destination. There are many types of locks, and the rider, scenario, and region all influence the type of lock you might need. For this instance, we'll be using a sturdy U-lock and a flexible cable lock. The first part of locking up is finding a good location. You want to lock to something that can retain the lock so that the bike can't simply be taken with the lock. You'll want to use the sturdier lock to lock the bike frame to the lock surface. Ideally, lock around the seat post, between the seat stays and top tube, and between the chain stays and down tube. This will keep the frame sturdily in place. Next, take your flexible lock and use it to lock both wheels to the frame, threading it through the spokes. Bonus points if you can also get it through the rails of your seat. Just remember that the best prevention of theft is to keep your bike locked up for as little time as possible and keep it in a safe public space where it can be seen.
So I think I just want to go up here to college, then down college to Brunswick, and then up Brunswick.
Okay.
The tire box. I don't like the street at all with the streetcar grades. They freak me out.
That intersection back there where they like all intersect is like my worst nightmare.
For real, I want to get killed there one day. Okay, I don't want to wait in line. Oh, if we go to Harvard, we can see the cherry blossoms.
Oh yeah.
Want to go up to Harvard?
Sure.
Cherry blossoms. Okay, I'm gonna Copenhagen cross.
Yeah. It totally worked.
Brake okay?
Yeah. So they got bent in that front end collision I was telling you about.
Oh yeah.
So they'll like work, but then sometimes they bind a bit. So I think I just gotta go in and re-grease pretty much everything.
Yeah. I mean, something's probably bent. I'm sure it's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine.
Wow, cherry blossoms.
Someone give me my sword.
Just showing off with the track stand.
I'm not very good at that, but I've been practicing. So yeah, showing off. So I think it must have been riding fixed gears. It's really, it's easier to do a track stand with a fixed gear.
Yeah.
And then you can look really cool. Everyone's like, damn, you're so cool.
That's what it's about, big skids and looking cool.
It's really what it's all about. Damn, I gotta go back.
You doing it?
Major street. This is a really cool building. It's like kind of brutalist.
What's housed in it?
Pardon?
What's housed in it?
It's part of Central Tech.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what is in there. I think there's art studios. We arrived at Lee's Palace. Right here. See where it has all the, it's like a big mural. I used to live right there on the 3rd floor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's so loud. Biking is fun. Learn how to fix your own bike. Maybe don't ride fixed gear, unless you want to, and then do. That's it.